Welcome back to Obscurus Gaming, and today I'm reviewing the 20th anniversary edition of Beyond Good and Evil, released a couple months ago to all major platforms. I never played the original, and I honestly can't remember if I even knew about the game when I was younger. My only memory of the franchise at all comes from the occasional news about a long-awaited sequel that has seen a ton of development delays but apparently is still coming. So yeah, I went into this game pretty much completely blind, so let's see what Beyond Good and Evil is all about.
The war has arrived at the gates of Hillis. This peaceful mining planet in System 4 is now completely encircled by the Dom's...
The premise of Beyond Good and Evil is a little tough to explain, but you'll be playing as Jade, a resident of the planet Hillis. Her main job is to oversee the Hillis Lighthouse for the community, which doubles as an orphanage of sorts for some of the children, and also home to her swine friend, Paige, who was Jade's guardian when she was younger. From the start, you'll learn that the world of Hillis has been under attack from an alien space force called the Dom Z. The military called the Alpha protect Hillis, but it becomes increasingly suspicious that the Alpha are actually working with the Dom Z for unknown reasons, as people of Hillis keep going missing. This discovery leads to a rise of an underground agency called Iris, who are trying to expose the Alpha sections to the rest of the world. The story is an interesting blend of fantasy adventure, espionage, and oppression, and it somehow all works, and is super interesting throughout the 15 or so hour adventure.
Still have 3 more seconds to get the hell out of here and back to your knitting!
The gameplay here is also as equally blended as the story, and can be best described as an adventure game that dabbles in several different genres. Once Jade gets recruited by Iris, she's tasked with documenting the atrocities committed by the aliens and the Alpha sections, as well as documenting all forms of life by taking pictures. This honestly was my favorite gameplay aspect, and reminded me a little bit of Pokemon Snap or Metroid Prime 2 a bit because of it. The Iris network will send you then on missions to different locations around Hillis, and in these locations the game turns into a bit of a Zelda-light enclosed dungeon experience. To get around, you have a hovercraft that you will be slowly upgrading its abilities through the open world of Hillis. Also throughout the game you are collecting pearls, which reminds me of collecting stars in Mario 64, and these pearls will come in handy for upgrading your hovercraft to an eventual spaceship. And when you're not in your hovercraft, there is a mix of light action, stealth, and exploration sections when adventuring to these areas. Even though I enjoyed the gameplay overall, the phrase "an inch deep and a mile wide" applies a bit to the gameplay here. Certain aspects are fun, but they're not as fleshed out as they could have been, especially the combat. This could be due to the technical limitations from that generation, and the fact the game is 20 years old, but I think it's mostly because they tried to pack in everything they possibly could. Again, the combat is very light and repetitive, the stealth sections are dated and boring, and the exploration sections are a bit more linear than it might appear. But each time the game felt like it was about to become a little bit stale in one of these key areas, it would switch up the gameplay enough to keep me engaged, and the world building also is the highlight of the entire experience, and it kind of distracts you from the light gameplay.
Lost, sweetheart.
From a technical perspective, Beyond Good and Evil runs well, and I should note that the video here is from the Xbox Series X version. The game has clearly been recoded to run well on modern systems and isn't just some lazy port of an old game, which is kind of what I was afraid of originally. It's hard for me to compare it to the original since I never played it, but I feel like they did a good job mimicking the experience here. The only technical issue I ran into is based more on the dated game mechanisms. There were a couple times where the game was not clear to me on what I should be doing next, and after kind of a long time of figuring it out, I had to look up the next thing I needed to do to trigger a cutscene or a gameplay sequence, which was a little bit frustrating. Besides the game itself though, this is a remaster, so there's also a gallery mode, which is kind of cool to see, and a speedrun mode that I honestly have zero interest in, but just know it does exist.
Esau, got a Speedcraft motor here together. A Speedcraft motor. No problem.
Overall, I am super impressed by the universe created in Beyond Good and Evil. It is incredibly unique and interesting, and I can easily see why fans are clamoring for more. Despite some of the dated gameplay sections, the universe itself, including its unique blend of exploration, action, and platforming, combines to make a style of a game that feels incredibly original, even if it is 20 years old. So yeah, sign me up for a sequel, but until then, I'm happy to have taken a trip through the Beyond Good and Evil universe, and I recommend you do the same. It scores a solid 86. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you next time.
Hare hare, quanto rueda del sol. Hare hare, oh quanto rueda del sol. Hare hare, quanto rueda del sol. Hare hare, oh quanto rueda del sol.